Hello and welcome to Archie Corner. This is episode number 18. Today I'd like to start a little differently. Some of you have looked at past videos and placed comments of subjects that interest you. Believe it or not, those comments do not go unread. Therefore, today our topic will cover what was brought up by one of our viewers. If you have any subjects you are interested in, feel free to place them in the comments box. Who knows? Maybe we'll talk about them soon. The topic we are discussing today has been requested by Damon Thomas. I hope I said that right. His comment stated, "You should do one for doors with push button operators and what are the best practices for locating these push buttons." So thank you, Damon, and here we go. If you look through various codes, including the IBC, IFC, ADA standards, and ANSI A117.1, you won't find any real requirements noting where you must have an automatic door operator. Due to the nature that there is no real code section that talks about where or why to place one, you might start pulling your hair out wondering where to use one or not. Let's see if we can simplify this as best as possible. First, let's talk about what it means to have a door with push button operators. A button operator refers to having an automatic operator for swinging doors. There are actually three types of automatic operators for swinging doors: power assisted, low energy, and full power. So what are the differences? Let's start with a power assisted door. Of all three options, these are the least common automatic operators, womp womp womp, and it is very possible that you have not seen one before due to the rarity of them. A sample of a power assist door is shown here by a person who activates the opening mechanism by pulling on the door. Of course, this would also work if you're pushing the door. This would reduce the opening resistance of a self-closing door to allow easier manual opening of the door. If the opening force on the door is released, in other words, if you stop pushing or you stop pulling, the door will come to a stop and either immediately begin to close or begin to close after a predetermined time. So you must be actively pushing or pulling in order for this type of automatic operating door to work. The next one is low energy. These may be the most common type of automatic operators used in office buildings and other similar occupancy buildings. These types of automatic operators are often seen in locations where some people may need the help opening the door while others do not. A low-energy automatic door opener, once activated, opens the door automatically without further input, and that's the key. This operator must be activated by a knowing act. What does this mean? The first way is with a push button, a push bar, or a non-contact sensor. A second way to do it is by physically pushing or pulling on the door. And third, if the door has security requirements, you can use an access control such as a card reader, key fob, keypad, or something of that nature. The third and last type of automatic operator is full power. These types of automatic operators are very common in local grocery store entries, retail store entries, and the like. Usually people walk right up to the door opens by itself by means of a sensor, and you just step right in or step right out. You see them all the time. But there are other requirements with these specific type of openers that we will not get into them. In fact, they don't even require a push button, which was part of today's question, and therefore we're not going to be talking about this type of automatic operators. Instead, we will focus on the first two. And the reason is that these two types of automatic door operators are the ones that usually have push buttons or push bars that activate them. Please note that even though a push button can be used in a power assistive type of automatic operator, once activated, a person must still physically push or pull on a door through the entire swing of the door. Without this physical input, the door would simply not open. Now that we clarified what type of locations may have a push button, let's talk about why you would use one versus the other. The key in knowing when to use one or the other lies in the fact that the doors provided with power assist require the same maneuvering clearances required for manual doors. This makes sense because power assist requires the same physical interaction than any other regular door. When used, These power assist doors are merely out of convenience and nothing else. So it's not a code requirement, it's just a convenience that is provided for the public. As you may have guessed it by now, the doors equipped with a low energy automatic operator do not require the maneuvering clearances required for manual doors. Therefore, these doors have an extra benefit. Besides being convenient, if for whatever reason a door cannot be made to comply with your required door maneuvering clearances, you may be able to provide a low energy automatic operator as an alternate means of compliance. In most new buildings, this would not be the case because a new building is typically designed with current codes in mind. This is often instead a workaround in existing buildings that are being altered and need to comply with newer and more current codes. That is not to say that these are the only times a low energy automatic operator is used. Many of these operators are also provided for convenience to the building users and offer a great means of accessibility. For example, it may be very practical to place these in medical office buildings where, although not required by code, it makes sense, since these accommodations are for people with disabilities, the infirm, the elderly, and they will greatly benefit from such amenities. Now that we talked about when you would use them, let's talk about best practices for locating these push buttons. There are 3 points to consider. First, you preferably want them 1 to 5 feet from the door. But if they have to be further than that, you don't want to go further than 12 feet. Second, the push button activation method should not be blocked when the door is opened. So you want to make sure you have the clearances required at the push button or whatever activation method you're using. Third, the push button or activation method should be installed in a location where a person has full view of the door. So you don't want this around the corner for whatever reason. Our fourth point talks about the heights. A push button or activation method should be mounted between 34 inches and 48 inches above the floor. Note that some states have more stringent codes. California, for example, also requires a button or activation method 7 or 8 inches above the floor. Also in California, the second push plate above needs to be between 30 inches minimum and 44 inches maximum above the floor. Both of these dimensions taken to the center line of the push button. That is why in California you often see a vertical bar rather than 2 separate buttons. This bar allows for coverage that extend from the low to the high point requirements. And that's it. Now you know 3 basic things. You know the difference between automatic door openers and door assist type openers. You know where you may use one versus the other. And now you also know best practices for locating these push buttons. I hope you found this video interesting. Please remember to place your comments below. And if you're interested in a certain subject, please note it. I am leaving you with some videos that I think may interest you, including one that speaks about the maneuvering clearances required at doors. Please remember to subscribe if you like this content. And know the thumbs up always help, so if you feel like you're in a cheerful mood, please give this video a thumbs up. I hope you have a good day or a good night, depending on when you're watching this. But for now, this is Arky Corner signing out.